Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive question that underpins absolutely everything around us. Why do economic problems exist in the first place? Whether you're looking at a basic household budget or the GDP of an entire nation, the root causes are exactly the same. Our goal today is to completely demystify this basic economic problem by breaking it down into its core structural components. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how much you have, it feels like there's always something else you need? This isn't just some philosophical musing. It's the absolute bedrock of economics. This total inability to satisfy every single human desire is the engine that drives all global markets and personal financial decisions. Really, it's the genesis of every economic problem we face. To wrap our heads around this, we're going to break things down into three main pillars. First, unlimited ends. Next, limited resources. And finally, alternative uses. Starting off with Chapter 1, Unlimited Ends, or basically, our wants. So human wants don't just exist, they continuously multiply. Think about it. You satisfy one want. Say, you finally buy that brand new smartphone. Awesome. But that victory is super brief. Almost immediately, another want crops up. You need a protective case for it, and then some wireless headphones, and maybe a faster charger. Because it's mathematically impossible to satisfy this kind of exponential growth, human wants are considered completely unlimited. It's the classic human condition, right? We are never totally satisfied. Because we can't have everything, we're forced to rank what we want. And this brings us to a really critical concept, the scale of preference. Obviously, not all wants are created equal. They differ dramatically in their urgency. Some are life or death pressing, like getting food and shelter, while others are just kind of nice to have, like a luxury vacation. By listing out these various wants in order of their urgency or importance, individuals and entire economies can choose between them. We absolutely must prioritize. Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how we hit a wall. Chapter 2, Limited Resources. So we've established that our desires have no boundaries, but here's where we hit physical reality. To satisfy all those wants, society uses productive resources. And these are strictly restricted. Labor is hard-capped by population size, land is limited by a country's geographical borders, and capital and technology, well, they're constrained by the scarcity of physical inputs and our current level of knowledge. These are just the inflexible boundaries we have to work within. And that brings us to the law of scarcity. Goods are scarce simply because there aren't enough resources to produce everything we want. But here's a neat caveat. Scarcity isn't an absolute concept. It's actually a relative one. A resource might be incredibly abundant in nature, but if human demand for it is even larger, well, suddenly that resource becomes economically scarce. All right, moving on to Chapter 3, Resources have alternative uses. When you smash unlimited wants into limited resources, you get the ultimate climax of our dilemma, resource allocation. Imagine just a single piece of land. You can use it to produce wheat, or you can use it to produce vegetables. But you absolutely cannot do both on the exact same patch of dirt at the exact same time. Choosing to do one inherently prevents you from doing the other. Because of this fierce competition for alternative uses, we have to engage in what economists call the economizing of resources. So the crucial point is this. Society has to make some incredibly tough decisions to allocate scarce inputs efficiently. We've got to look at our scale of preference, figure out the urgency of our wants, and allocate those resources so they're put to their absolute best possible use. We just can't afford to waste them. So how do we actually picture this? Let's look at visualizing the choice, the production possibility curve. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how economists map out these difficult choices graphically. We call it a production possibility curve, or a PPC. Imagine a society choosing between civilian goods, like butter, and wartime goods, like guns. Notice that downward slope? If the economy wants to produce more butter, it absolutely must divert resources away from producing guns. There's no magic trick to just make more of everything. Every single time you move along that curve, there's a very specific cost attached, the marginal opportunity cost. Basically, to gain something, you must lose something. The opportunity cost of getting just one more unit of butter is the exact number of guns you have to give up to make it happen. It perfectly summarizes the most famous law in economics. There is no such thing as a free lunch. You literally cannot get more of one good without sacrificing the other. Now, in a broader economy, leaving resources idle, like unemployed labor or unused land, is considered a dead loss to society. It means the capacity to produce just goes completely to waste. But let's bring this macro concept down to the micro level for a second. Think about your own life. You have unlimited ends, things you want to achieve, watch, read, and do, but you have a strictly limited resource, 24 hours in a day. And that time has alternative uses. Choosing to scroll social media absolutely prevents you from using that exact same hour to read a book. So I want to leave you with this thought. Knowing that wasted resources are a dead loss, how efficiently are you economizing your own time according to your personal scale of preference? Thank you so much for exploring the root of all economic problems with me today.